And of course, as I mentioned, staying firm, we should stay humble, because if we become arrogant and we think we're safe straight away, we could end up disloyal to the Imam of our time, just like Zubayr was. Now, how can we, dear brothers and anyone watching, dear brothers and sisters, stay loyal to Imam Hussein alayhi salam? And how can we stay loyal to the Imam of our time? One way we can do this is by at least following the religion properly, following the religion in a correct way. If Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his companions and the women and children went through this sacrifice for what? To preserve Islam. They went through this sacrifice to preserve Islam, not as a political sacrifice, as some people try to say, some of these political type people. It was a political incident. No. He went to preserve Islam, but then at the same time, his people who claim to be his followers, they can't follow the teachings correctly. Imam Hussein, we say, Ashhadu annaka qad aqamta as-salah, that verily we bear witness that you established the salah. And then we see that many people, they don't establish the salah. They come to Muharram, they do some sinazani, they get some free food. After that, the rest of the year, he doesn't pray salah. And why, when you ask them, they say, oh, following the religion is hard in this country. As soon as I go out of my house, I may see haram. When I try to find a job, for example, I may be dealing with some haram things, or I need to say, okay, can I pray at this job? Am I selling merchandise which is not validated by Islamic law? He says that everything is like a test for him, and it's too hard to follow when you're living in a type of non-Muslim country. But as we know that ahadith mention clearly about this, dear brothers, about following the ahadith in the time of the disappearance of the Imam, or the occultation of the 12th Imam. The hadith says, كنا عند أبي عبد الله جلوسا فقال لنا إن لصاحب هذا الأمر غيبة المتمسك فيها بدينه كالخارط للقتاد ثم قال هكذا بيده فأيكم يمسك شوق القتاد بيده. So the Imam says here, and then after that it says ثم أطرق مليا ثم قال إن لصاحب هذا الأمر غيبة فليتق الله عبد وليتمسك بدينه. So Yaman al-Tammar, one of the companions of Imam Sadiq, he says that once we were in the presence of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and he said to us, the one in charge of this matter, so the 12th Imam, may Allah hasten his reappearance, will disappear from public sight. So of course the Imam is present, but he's in occultation, and maybe some of only the very strong believers, they get a vision of him or they get to see him. He will disappear from public sight. At that time, following one's religion, and this is a very important part, dear brothers and sisters. The Imam is not physically, or let's say he's in occultation, so we are deprived from being with him at the moment physically and being able to see his face. At that time, so the consequences of this are what? At that time, following one's religion would be like wiping the thorns of a cactus plant with one's bare hands. So the Imam gives the analogy that following this religion is like taking a cactus plant and wiping your hands on it. Have any of you ever touched a cactus plant when you were younger? For example, me, I have before. And we can tell that it hurts very bad. But the analogy here is what? To show that following the religion will not be an easy task. When the Imam is not present, you will face many challenges, especially being in the West. For example, even some brothers, we have one brother here who is French. In France, they are very anti-religion usually, and they are more towards secularism or completely away from the religion. So you're not allowed to, for example, practice your religion in the workplace. So brothers in different countries will face different tests. So the Imam says here that, Imam Sadiq says that at that time following one's religion would be like wiping the thorns of a cactus plant with one's bare hands. The Imam then made certain hand gestures, and he said, who among you is ready to hold his hands on a branch of the cactus? So who amongst you is ready to grab this type of cactus? He then remained quiet for a little while and then said, the one who is in charge of this amr, meaning the 12th Imam, he will disappear from the public sight. So a servant must maintain piety before him and hold fast to his religion. So the Imam alayhi salam, Imam Sadiq, he tells his companions what? He tells his companions that within the time of the occultation, holding onto your religion will be like holding onto a cactus. And what you must do is that you must observe and maintain piety. So we link this hadith with the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and what he went through. And we say that, okay, within this day and age, for me to remain loyal, I just have to follow my deen, I have to propagate the religion. And this is nothing compared to the sacrifices that the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam went through. That, okay, of course it might be a bit difficult sometimes, you need to find a place to pray, you've got less time. This is nothing compared to what occurred to these people. That they wanted to pray and then they were taken captive and shackled. They wanted to observe the hijab and then they had the hijab violated by these mal'uns.